Hey everyone, I'm Justin Wiley, the owner and winemaker at Vapiano Vineyards, and we have with us Andrew, our assistant winemaker today, and we are really excited about releasing our 2022 Black Label Syrahs. But let's first of all talk about the vintage of 2022. For the most part, it was a very cool and wet spring, and we had a fairly short summer. But when summer came, it got really hot, and fall was extremely warm, which ended in a spectacular vintage. There was a little more fruit than normal, but even with a little heavier crop, it was still an amazing, amazing vintage. Today we have 3 Syrahs. They're all from the Walla Walla Valley, but all from unique vineyards sourced from Stony Vine Vineyard to Lake Colleen Vineyard and Heritage Vineyard. So the first one we talk about is one we just poured. This wine is typically higher pH, tends to be a little bit more on the lighter to medium bodied style, and we ferment this. All these wines are fermented for the most part the same way, small tanks, minimal pump overs, and we do native yeast to start for the first half of the fermentation, and then halfway through we do inoculate it, so we make sure that we do get through fermentation at the end of it. But the first wine we have here is Stony Vine.
Smells awesome.
And this one is fermented. Actually, we use about 10 to 15% new French oak on these barrels. And whole cluster was...
We had 50% whole cluster on this. Stony Vine can generally handle a little bit more whole cluster, so about 50% we ferment on the stems, which adds a little bit of that white pepper, a little bit more of that structured component, which this soft wine can really handle really well.
It's showing great. Second wine is our Heritage Vineyard, and that is located on the north side of Walla Walla, up in the hills. It's a vineyard we planted about 14 years ago, and this vineyard consistently every year shows awesome. It's not Stony Vine. It's a very different style. It has more fruit to it, has a little more structure to it. This vineyard doesn't like as much whole cluster.
I think we had 33%, so about 1/3 whole cluster on that one. It's kind of a bigger, more robust, rounder fruit profile on this one.
Every vineyard is different in the Walla Walla Valley. Some like more whole cluster, some do not. We've learned over time that Stony Vine loves whole cluster, Heritage is in the middle, and then Lake Colleen likes it the least. That's delicious.
Awesome.
The last wine we have is Lake Colleen. Lake Colleen is at the base of the Blue Mountains, just east of us at the winery. This vineyard was planted in 2000, and we have learned over time that we do pick this vineyard in 2 different picks. We do a first pick and a second pick, and that has typically within a 10-day window, and we've always kind of played around with the fruit to see what we like, the earlier pick or the second pick. And historically, we're kind of leaning towards picking more of it on the later part of it, but we always like to blend a few barrels that were picked on the early pick for the freshness, acidity to it. So it's never all been kind of the second pick. And this vineyard we worked with for many years, and every year we're always experimenting just a little bit. This one has the most fruit to it. It has more of a, this one has more of a creamier finish to it, mouthfeel to it. And this wine is, whole cluster on this is
25% on this one.
So we've worked in the past with more whole cluster percentages, and we keep coming back to 25 or even less. So every year is a little bit different.
There's quite a bit of destemmed fruit on this one, and then I think we blended in a barrel or 2 of a little bit more whole cluster, but this one tends to like more of that destemmed fruit, I feel like.
It's delicious.
Awesome.
So these are our new releases. We're super excited for everybody to taste them, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Cheers.